do that. All right, folks. So, all right, their exams were all given back. Sorry about the delay in the homework. Those last homework we'll be getting back to you later today or tomorrow. Today will be our last required meeting day. There will be one more assignment beyond this. This one itself may be not required for some of you. If you already have done all 11 of your assignments, this one may not require you to complete it. This assignment, this lesson today is about creating scales and reliability. Now, people who are in my 351 social research class have already seen this. There is something actually new we're going to do with this though today, so you will be learning something new. But for those of you who are not, who have not seen this before, this will be all completely new. But this will be the last thing that we do in this class that will appear on the exam, the final third exam. That's all. I'll post sometime next week, and you'll have plenty of time to do that. Yeah, today we'll talk about scale development and reliability analysis. Okay, and so on Moodle, if we take a look at what I posted, we have been using from time to time these composite measures where we, like in the example of the delinquency scale, we have, because all the items seem to all kind of go together, because by definition they are things that if someone at least under the age of 18 were to do any of them, or most adults too, they would be illegal. But we have summed them all up and created what we call a delinquency scale. However, there is a more formal process that you should do before you create composite measures. That is, before you start either averaging together or summing up the values of a bunch of other variables that seem to be all talking about the same thing. And so what we want to do with this is before we can establish a statistical argument that, yeah, we can put all these together to make a uniform scale or a reliable scale. What we want to do is look at all these items in a correlation matrix. So we want to look at the delinquency items in a correlation matrix before we really start thinking about putting things together into a scale. So we know all these items are already scored the same way. They were all measured the same way. All the delinquency items were all measured. Oops, my screen coming up here. They're all measured with regard to behavior in the past 12 months. And so what we can do is we want to go to correlate, and we want to go to where it says bivariate, and we want to grab these 15 delinquency items. Oops, I don't want to sort by, I just want to go by file order. It's easy for me to, they're all in order this way. And we want to get all of these H1, they're right below here. DS 1 through 15. We want to examine all of these items in a correlation matrix, which will show us how well all of these items that seem to be related to one another, because they're all indicators of delinquent behavior, just exactly how closely associated they are, right? Because we can look at the correlations. Okay, and so we do this. And let me stop sharing this for a second and bring up my other screen. And this is a correlation of all the delinquency items. And if we look across here, without exception, all delinquency items are correlated with each other. So people who like to use graffiti a lot are also, it's also correlated with the serious physical fighting. It's also positively correlated with stealing something. It's also positively correlated with burglary. So all of these things, all of these correlations, these bivariate correlations are positively correlated without exception. So when one is making a scale, when one is making a composite scale that involves several items added together or averaged together, usually one of the first steps, well, before this even, you want to make sure that they are all in the same measurement scale, individual items are, and all of these are. And then we want to see, okay, well, what is the correlation between these things? And we notice that they're all positively correlated. And so this is a requirement to make a scale, is that we want to have all of the items positively correlated. They all should be positively correlated, indicating they are all presumably tapping into the same underlying unmeasured construct, or at least they're all related to one another because they're all kind of talking about the same thing, and that is delinquency. Okay, so that's what we want to do to check to make sure that this is, we should even bother making this a scale. One of the first steps we do is check the correlation matrix. And so that was done. To actually see then if we have a scale that we can make, a composite measure, taking like the sum of all these like we've done before, what we want to do is go to where it says analyze, and we go to where it says scale. Okay, and then we go down to where it says reliability analysis. The chapter in the book talks about several different types of reliability analysis that one can conduct. This is one of the more common ones used, called Cronbach alpha reliability. That's the stat that we're going to get from this analysis. But what we want to do here, we want to go back and put in all of the delinquency items once more. We want to have all of those in here in the analysis to determine just how good of a scale this would be. That is a reliable indicator of delinquency. So yeah, you want to input this back into this window under reliability. And that was itself under scale in the menu, or under analyze, and just putting all these in here. And within here, you can also request. By default, it's going to give you Cronbach alpha, but you can request means. You can request the inter-item correlations if you'd like. We've seen those already, but you can request those, and go ahead and hit OK. The main thing that we're looking at here, though, is here's the correlation matrix. We just saw this, but we want to look here at where it says reliability statistics. Okay, this is the number of items we have in our scale. That's 15 of those delinquency items. And here, this Cronbach alpha score of 0.829. Okay, so what that is indicating is that on a scale that could presumably range from 0 to 1, you have a reliability score of 0.829. Usually, you have to have a Cronbach alpha score of at least 0.6 or higher to say that it's of any good value whatsoever that's reliable at all. Anything really, actually, something in 0.6 range is considered questionable according to the book. But once you get up to definitely the 0.7s and 0.8 ranges, then you can make a statistical argument that we really can group all these items together. We don't have to look at these individually in any analyses. We can call this a delinquency scale because the reliability statistic, the Cronbach alpha, is saying that it is reliable. So it's like a correlation among positive correlations. So it's upwardly biased, and so that's why the kind of traditional cutoff here is usually like a 0.6 to be considered reliable at all. And so 0.6 or higher is good. Okay, so and it will never go higher than 1. Usually it doesn't go higher than like a 0.98 or something like that. But then you have some other statistics down here that we requested, overall item means and things like that, which I guess that's not too terribly important, so you don't really have to do that. But you do want to request, or not request, you do want to do this step under, again, analyze, scale, reliability. This is what you get by default when you plug all your items in, is this Cronbach reliability score. Okay, so that's what we want to do when we want to test for the reliability. Each item that goes into our scale that we're going to make needs to be run individually. It needs to be put in this. Okay, so that's one example of a scale that you can make. I've got another example here of a scale, one called religiosity. Okay, so again, we have several items that all seem to be talking about the same thing, the degree to which people are interested and involved in some sort of religious observation. And so this is very common practice in sociology, in psychology. to try to reduce the number of variables one is looking at into something that's more sensible, that people kind of understand to be a part of a whole. And so people don't pray in isolation. You don't find that there's usually, it's connected to some religious tradition. So, why don't you try to lump all these things together? Again, though, we have to go through the steps of making sure that we have variables appropriate for this and that they're all positively correlated. So we can look at these items H1RE 3, 4, and 6 in the variable view first to see what these items, how they were scored. Okay, and there's, okay, so this is past year attend religious services, and this is scored once a week or more to never, okay. And then 4 is how important is religion to you, and it's again 1 to 4, but the scoring again is in the direction of higher the score, less religious. And then 6, how often do you pray? Okay, and again, we've got a 4-point scale here, also coded in the direction that the higher the score happens to be, less religiously involved. Okay, well, in this case, even though these things are what we would consider backwards scored, because they're all consistent and they're all they're all using just a 4-level measurement, they can in theory, at least, be lumped together into a religiosity scale. They could be put together into a composite measure, take the average of or sum of these items rather than looking at them individually. But before we do that, we do have to go back to our reliability analysis to find out if these items are correlated enough together to justify doing that. So the first thing we check before we do the reliability analysis is the correlation matrix. Let's look to see if there is a correlation here. First, between all 3 items. All 3 items, remember, need to be positively and significantly correlated to make a scale that's going to return a Cronbach alpha that's at least 0.6 or higher. That's what you're looking for. And so let's display variable names, sort alphabetically, and we're finding these religion items again. H1, wait, did I sort alphabetically? H1 REs. So, okay, going down here. RE3, let's see, what's it? RE3. And oops, what was the other one? 3, 4, and 6. Okay. Right. Okay. And so we look at these correlations between these religion items. Let me stop sharing this for a second and get to this. So we look at these in the correlation matrix, these 3 items that I ran past year: attend religious service, how important was religion to you, how often do you pray? Okay, and so when you look at these together in a correlation matrix, we notice that they're all positively correlated with one another, with no exceptions there. And all the correlations are significant. And so again, we could make a scale here out of this, presumably if we get a good Cronbach alpha back, and we probably should because of all 3 items, even though there's only 3, they're all positively correlated in the moderate to strong range, in fact. And so to check the reliability, once more, we go to scale, reliability analysis. Okay, and then we want to get our religion items back in here. Display variable names, sort alphabetically, and get back to these elusive H1RE. There's only a few of these items, these religion items. They're all H1RE something. There, wait, there we go. Okay, 3, what is it, 4 and 6. Yeah, okay. So we're just putting these into the reliability analysis and going to see what the alpha value is. And so down here, oops, let me get, I don't know if that's, okay, so yeah, down here at the very bottom of my screen here, you should be able to see this reliability statistics. And this is the Cronbach alphas score for the 3 religion items that went in there, and this Cronbach alpha score 0.719, and so lower reliability than the delinquency scale, but that is in large function, largely a function of the number of items in the scale. Okay, so in your homework assignment, I'm telling you, you need to involve at least 4 items in your scale, because the Cronbach alpha will go up if you have more items in the scale. So we have 3 items here that are correlated. They're all positively correlated in pretty moderate to strong level correlations. And so we, out of those 3, we can get a Cronbach alpha that high. But if you have lower correlations in your items, then you're going to need to have more items in there that are measuring a similar thing. Okay, so that's another example of making a scale. That one tapping into this dimension of religiosity, and you could see then you can make the scale religiosity by taking the average, or taking the sum of these using a transform compute variable, call it religiosity, and you could run descriptive statistics on that, and you could see just how the sample varies with respect to that measure, what the average is, what the extremes are. Okay, so another example of a scale is a scale of some parental attachment indicator. So this is also another really common type of item that's used by criminologists, psychologists, sociologists to look at the degree to which people are attached to their parents, their mother in particular. And so we have 3 items that are going to go into this scale. Let's take a look at those in variable view. Okay, so the first one is H1WP9. Okay, and so when we look at this one, this is asking how close do you feel to your mother? That's what was asked of the adolescent respondents. And it's coded 1 to 5, 5 being very close. Okay, so the higher the score, the closer you feel to mom. And the next one is H1WP10. This one scored the same way, 1 to 5. The higher the score, the more that you think mom cares about you. Okay. And so those 2 together, the 9 and the 10, because they're coded the same way and they're presumably talking about the same thing. I mean, it's just the language of the question suggests that they are going to be tapping into the same overall dimension of how someone is, their relationship with their mom, that they could probably make a scale. Well, we have one more item that we need to check out and to see if we can include it as well. H1 PF1 is another item in here that asks about the relationship quality between the adolescent participant and their mother. And this is asked if mom is warm and loving. Okay, great. What do we have here as the way it's measured? 5-point scale again. Okay, fine. But this one is reverse coded. So we have a higher the score, the more you disagree that your mom is warm and loving. Well, that's a problem only because of the way it's coded. What we have to do with this item in order to make it so we can scale it or put it into our composite measure to make a scale is we have to reverse code it. So that way, the higher the score means greater attachment to mom, consistent with the rest of them. Otherwise, we're going to get a negative correlation out of this thing. We've done this before when we reverse coded things, but let's return to this. We just need to flip this so that the 1s become a 5, the 3s become, say, 3s, but the 2s becomes the 4s, 4s become the 2s. And so that way we have a reverse coded version of this variable H1PF1 that we can use, because otherwise, this stuff is going to be, this one item is going to be negatively correlated with those 2 others. So let's reverse code this. So this is something that one sometimes needs to do when you're making scales, is that things will be measuring something very similarly, but you'll just notice that they are reverse coded. They're measuring it in the opposite direction as this one is. And so let's go to transform, recode into different variable, display variable names, sort alphabetically, H1 PF. 1. Okay, so we'll just call this reverse, the reverse of H1 PF1. Change that, old new values. Okay, so if you were a 1 on the old one, you become a 5. If you're a 2, you become a 4. If you're a 3, you become a 3. If you're a 4, 2, and 5, 1. If your system you're using missing, you can stay missing. Right, and so that's how we reverse code the item. In that case, it's just the 3 has to stay a 3 because it can't change a position. It's stuck right in the middle because there's an odd number of levels. If it was you wouldn't have to do that. That would be the case if it was an even number of levels, but it's an odd number of levels, so the middle stays right in the middle. But the rest though are reversed. They're flipped. Okay, and so 1 to 5, 2 to 4, 3 to 3, 4 to 2, 5 to 1, missing to missing. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. And then we hit OK. And so I'm not going to check that in frequencies, just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. But I'm thinking when we put it in the correlation matrix, it should all of these items now should be positively correlated if I did that right. So we want to check to make sure that's the case, because we always want to check this before we go on to make our scale. So let's go to oops, I'm not sure. Let's see a second real quick. Okay, let me go to analyze. Let me go to correlate, bivariate. Okay, and we need to, wait, let me set that. Let me get this reversed item. And let me then go up, display variable names, sort alphabetically, and get the other two, H1 WP 9 and 10. And what we should see then, there's 10. 9 is, for some reason, is down here. Okay. Okay, so now we've checked this. These are all positively correlated. Now, if we had not reverse coded that one, this item would have been negatively correlated with these two items over here. But because we reverse coded it, you get the exact same correlation coefficient. It's just not negative anymore because we just flipped how the thing was coded. It was a total reverse code. Okay, so now because everything is positively correlated, we can go back and check the reliability. Now we can go to correlate, or sorry, scale. Scale, you want to go to scale, and you want to go to by reliability analysis. And let's go, let's reset that, and we want to put our reverse coded item in there, and then the two other parent items. Okay, there's 9, and then 10 is up here. Yeah. Okay, so and here we see our reliability statistic for the Cronbach alpha. The Cronbach alpha is the reliability statistic for that parental attachment scale. If we would put a scale together, this is what the reliability would be. It would be a 0.708, and so because that is above a 6, we would say that's good reliability, and so we could use this then as a scale. And so with this item, you could sum it up, or you could take the average because they're all the items are scored in the same way. They're all on a, I think, 4 or 5 point scale. Yeah. So it's all the same across all items, and so you could take the average, you could sum it up, and you're all good there. You can make a parental attachment scale, and so the statistics are there. The reliability statistics says that it is a uniform or reliable indicator of an underlying attachment dimension that we're not measuring directly with these items. These are kind of proxies for this thing that we're trying to get at by lumping them together into a scale. Okay, so this last example that I want to show you, we will have in situations where you have items that are not all on the same scale. That is, they have different number of levels. Some might have 6 levels, some may have 100 levels, some may have just 2 levels to them, but they are all presumably, again, measuring the same underlying unmeasured construct or dimension of behavior or attitudes or whatever you're trying to get at, such that you think that you would be better off just lumping them all together and putting them together into a scale. However, we need to sometimes make adjustments so that we can do this. Let's take a look at this, what I would call risky behavior scale. So what this is, before we start looking at the items individually, this is, well, this should say H1DS 1 through 15, not 1 through 2. This is our delinquency scale. I'll fix that. And then it's also adding to it frequency of serious physical fights in the past 12 months, and then 3 items about frequency of alcohol use in the past 12 months. Now, all of these delinquency items and these additional 4 items all are referencing risky behavior in the past 12 months. All of them are. The problem with doing it as just a sum of these items the way that they are currently is that some of them, they're not all measured the same way. They're measured at different responses. So let's, in terms of different response values. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's go to first H1DS 1 through 15. These are all the delinquency items we've used before. These are all measured 0 to 3. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 level variable. Okay, so all 15 of those are measured the same way. Let's go to this one that I wanted to use that deals with, it references behavior in the past 12 months, but look to see how it's measured. Well, this measured dichotomously, yes, no. Okay, so that's measured differently. Then we can also take a look at the alcohol use items, H1TO 15, I think was the first one. Yeah, oops, H1TO 15 is what I wanted to, not that, that's H1TO, that was the one I recoded previously. Okay, yeah, so the H1TO 15, these H1TO 15, 17, and 18, these are all referencing alcohol use also in the past 12 months. And this is how these were measured. 1 every day, almost every day. To 1 or 2 times a day in the past 12 months. Okay, and so these are all items that they need to, if you want to use them in your scale, not only do you need to reverse score them, but you need to transform them into a z-score, which we can do here in a moment. You don't have to do this by hand. Z-scores are something we talked about back at the beginning of the class, but they put everything on a standardized scale, so then they can be directly comparable, because a standardized scale is z-score. Everything now has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. And so what we can do here is we can reverse code these items, and we can involve them in a delinquency scale and that other item, so long as these items are reverse coded. So what we can do is let's make reverse coded items out of these 3 items, and then we need to convert all of them into z-scores. And then we can check the other steps that we did previously to check for reliability. Okay, so let's go into transform, recode into different variables. Okay, and then let's reset this. And let's display variable names and sort out alphabetically. H1TO 15 is the first one we're looking for. Okay, so we'll just call this reverse. H1TO 15. Change. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We want to reverse code this so that you know, 1 is a 7, so on and so forth. Okay, and so we've got that to reverse code, just as we did with the 1 through 5 scale. This is a 1 through 7 scale. So yeah, the 4 will be in the middle. That one won't move position. Okay, so we want to go then to change. What was this? Why is this not? Oh, I already did that. Okay, we want to go to, if you're 1, you become a 7. If you are a 2, you become a 6. If you are a 3, you become a 5. If you're 4, you stay at 4. If you are a 5, you become a 3. And if you are a 6, you become a 2. And if you are a 7, you become a 1. Okay, so we do that, and we go system or user missing. You can stay system or user missing. Okay, so we got 1 to 7, 2 to 6, 3 to 5, 4 to 4, 5 to 3, 6 to 2, 7 to 1. Okay, right. So that's how we do it. And that's how we do it for the next 2 items. So we don't have to do this again. We just go this, and then that's reverse code to that. Okay, that's dandy. All right, hit OK. And we've done that. And now we need to, let me go back to do it again. So go back into recode into different items. And let's don't hit reset. Just put this back over here and then go down to your 17 and 18, because you just need to reverse of H1 TO 17. Change, and then see the old new values. This is all the stuff is the same. So you can just keep that. That's okay. That's all good. And okay. All right, and do it one more time. For our last one, okay, get rid of this to our 18 and reverse H1 TO 18. Okay, change and okay. All right, so we have all of those now reverse coded. So that's good. And now the next thing that we want to do is we want to see about transforming these all of these into standardized versions of the variables. And so because they are measured in different levels, they have each item, or some of the items have different levels than the other ones. The way that we can do that without doing it individually for each variable, it's all it is the variables average subtracted from the individual score dividing by the standard deviation. That's how you make the z-scores. That puts it into a standardized scale. But to do it, to make the computer do it, what you can do is go into where it says descriptive statistics and go into where it says descriptives. And let me reset this. What you want to do is when you're in this, you want to click on where it says save standardized values as variables. By doing that, it will automatically produce for you a standardized version of the variable so that it's scaled in z-scores, so that every variable in your scale will have a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. I've already done some of these, but these reverse coded ones I need to do right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all of these over here, these reverse coded alcohol ones, that is. I'm putting these all over here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So what that gave me right there is this is a descriptive statistics for the original items, how they were coded. You know what? I forgot a step. Before I can start converting these, I want us to recode all of the items that we have to recode. I want to get rid of the missings. Let's do that first, because there are a lot of missings, especially on these items that reference alcohol use. So a quick way to do that, to get rid of all your missings, is you want to go into where it says transform, recode into the same variables. So what this will do is you can, so here I have it already over here. I have all of these variables that were the delinquency items over there. So all of the items H through 1, DS 1 through 15. And then I have this fighting item, H1JO11. And I want to get my reverse coded ones in there. Let me get rid of these, the alcohol items, and put my reverse coded versions of them in there, because that's the ones I want to use. 15, 17, and 18. All right, so, and what we want to do here, it's similar to the other recode into different variable, but this way we don't have to make new names for them. It just makes it so what we want to do is, if you are system or user missing, just recode them so they have a 0. Okay, so that system or user missing, you will now have a 0, because there are a considerable number of people who are skipped out of the alcohol items because they responded no to ever drinking in a previous item. So it was a contingency question that skipped them out. And so there are just a few people also that are missing from the delinquency items, but not many. But let's do that first. And so these are all now, all the people who are missing for whatever reason are just going to be counted as 0 on this, that there's no evidence of their involvement of any of these risky behaviors. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can go in to where it says analyze descriptive stats, descriptives, and you can go in and then you can select all of your items, all 19 of those items, or however many items that you want to standardize, and put them over here. And then what will happen is, let me reset, let me just do that again. So I know that those were taken care of. So I did this already for the previous ones. I'm just doing it for these right here. And we want to have these so that they are standardized. And then if we come up, we can check to make sure what that did. go to frequencies, and if you look at, here is our Z-scored items, it will be labeled as a Z-score. In the data set, it will create new items labeled as Z-scores, which you then can request your mean and your minimum, maximum values and standard deviation for these, like we've done in all other frequency analyses. And when you check this now, these are the standardized versions of these variables up here. But notice now that the means for all of them, they're all 0 and standard deviation is 1, as opposed to what they were up here, because it centers everything around the mean of 0. And so that is, and then everybody has their own respective scores, but everything, if you had exactly the mean in the original distribution, now you have a 0 in this distribution. And so when you convert them, and by saving them, I did this again, I didn't have to do anything special to make them Z-scores other than go to analyze frequency, or I'm sorry, it's analyze descriptive statistics, descriptives, the second one down, and you click save as standardized values. And what that will do, it will produce these standardized values that will appear then in your data set as the last, like any other time you make a variable, they'll appear as the last ones down. The last ones listed here are the Z-scores. So when you have your Z-scored or standardized items, then you can then go in and go back to doing what we were doing originally, which is making a analysis of the reliability of those items using the reliability, using the first look at the correlation matrix and then use the reliability analysis. I'm going to get rid of these. I don't need these in here, and I'm going to get rid of these real quick and then go in and show you guys these last couple steps to finish this off. So let me try to clear. Okay, yeah. So, okay. So what I want to do then is, because these are all Z-scored up as they should be, and this, let's see, where's my, so am I missing one up here? Oh, these are these, I don't need these right here either. So all of these, and so these are all the Z-scored versions of the delinquency items which we used before. Yeah, there's that fighting item, and these are the reverse scored Z-scored alcohol items. Okay, so these are 19 items, and so we can go to our correlate, bivariate, and we can put all of these in the correlation matrix. Unless I mess something up, these all should be positively correlated with one another. So let's put all of these in there. Okay. All right, so we have a massive correlation table that, oh, well, let me see, make sure you guys can see this. Okay, so we have this massive correlation table, and you can just go through and you can eyeball this, but you should see no exceptions, all positive correlations, all significant across all of these items. Okay. So that's good. Okay, so it should then show us a a reliable Cronbach alpha, we go to analyze, scale, reliability. We reset this, and then we go in here and we put all of our items in there. We go, yeah, all the Z-score items. It doesn't move it over there. So, whoa, wait. I have to start this over. Okay, that one, get over there, that one. Yeah, and you just have to, move all these over there. All 19 of them. And it doesn't let me cut and paste, so I have to do it like this. And these last 3. Okay, should be 19. I don't think I missed any. All right, good, 19 items in there. And the Cronbach alpha is 0.871. Okay, so that's a good Cronbach alpha. So what we then can do, if we want to make an overall scale of risky behavior, the final step would be, you could just take the average of all of these items. And if we do that, let me go back to this. I've done this already once. I want to erase this. Let me clear this. All right, let me then. We want to go into where we have compute variable, and let's see, reset this. Let's call this risky behavior. And you can say it's equal to, you can type in the mean, that'll work. You put, type in the word mean, and then you put all your items over there. You can actually, what you can do, let me X out of this, you can just cut and paste in this one, make this a lot easier. Just go, all right, like that. Copy, and then go back into transform, compute, and yeah, you can just cut and paste directly from the output. We'll do that. And mean, in the parentheses, we want to paste our items, and then we want to put a comma after each one of these. And then you just have it, take the average, and it will give you your scale that is shown already to be reliable. Oops. You just have to make sure to end this with a parentheses. Oops. Now, if I do any of this wrong, it will tell me I've got something wrong in it, but should be okay. So yeah, so this is just going to, you can type the word mean in there. I mean, there's all these functions down here, but I just know that's one of them. You can type the mean in here, the word mean, so it'll give you the mean of the average of all these items. You have to put commas after these and then hit okay. And it will compute your risky behavior scale. Okay, so then for homework, what you're doing here is you need to create your own scale using at least 4 items. Items should be related to a common theme. For some ideas, if you look at these items on physical health that I've listed, the ones on mental health, the ones on school grades, attitudes about school, school bonding, these are all items that are measured in a similar way, and they're all talking about the same thing. So it should work for a scale, but that's up to you to try to figure out how to make a scale out of these. You shouldn't have to do a whole lot of recoding with those particular items anyway, but it's up to you to make the scale, and it's also up to you to see how it correlates with either the delinquency scale or the risky behavior scale that we made. So check that out as assignment 12. That's be something that will be due on Monday. So we will meet on Friday. That will be an optional meeting. People would like to have ask me questions about this assignment. I will be available on Friday. But that is all for today, folks. I will send out an invite on Friday if people would like to ask me questions about this making a scale assignment. Okay. All right, but that is it for today. So take care. I will see you then on Friday.